What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp. This is February 12th. This is the Wednesday Night War podcast on Fightful.com. We give you podcasts after Raw, after SmackDown, and after NXT and AEW, but we have one this Sunday after NXT Takeover Portland. But hey, if you're in the Cincinnati area, I'll be on ESPN 1530 previewing that show. I was on Living the Gimmick with John Alba this week as well, making the media round, so to speak. But I'm still here with these guys. I'm still here with them.
You'll never leave us.
Alex Pawlowski, who gave you a fashionably late sour graps on Fightful Select. Please subscribe to that, guys, because people on Reddit like to post our shit as soon as it goes up and not link us. So definitely support us directly on FightfulSelect.com. That wasn't me being passive-aggressive at all. I am super grateful for the coverage. Alex, how you doing?
Good. Programming note, Sour Graps for SmackDown will also be fashionably late because I'm taking my two favorite girls to see Disney on Ice on Valentine's Day.
The Bellas?
And
the
my
Bella
wife,
twins?
Yes, them. Them and also, those two are my two favorite. My third and fourth favorite are my wife and my daughter, and I'm taking them to see Disney on Ice on Valentine's night. So Saturday will be Sour Graps.
I am also joined by Mr. Warren Hayes. Warren, you do not do anything for Fightful Select anymore. In fact, you have been called up to the main roster for Fridays, which I think is poetic because Alex kind of hates the main roster anyway and was perpetually unhappy there. So we sent him down to the premium service, and he's just enjoying life.
Yeah,
he doesn't have to travel as much. It's quite nice.
Well, I mean, I got to cover the honeymoon year of NXT UK while I was down there, and now I'm up here, and I'm, covering SmackDown, and I kind of feel what Alex feels sometimes. To be perfectly honest, I got to tell you one thing: it's Denise who has the sweet gig right now, covering Raw every week. Good on her.
She got a hard hat given to her by WWE.
I know.
This was something that was broached on List and or The List Goes On, which is our companion show to The List and Your Boy. So we do a post show on FightfulSelect.com. Subscribe now. And Jimmy was like, "Did they just give those to media?" Like, yeah. And I think they were given to there. But my thing is, when I saw that, I'm like, I would have told them to get fucked. No, pardon my language. The wrestlers weren't wearing that. It wasn't mandatory, obviously. They just wanted to dress up the media to wear their little hard hats. And I got to tell you, no disrespect to anybody that was there, Denise Salcedo's the only one that can pull that off. Little Denise Salcedo running around like 5'1" with a hard hat is wonderful. At first I was like, did she bring that herself? Because that's genius. But she pulls it off. Nobody else does. Check out InstinctCulture.com. Quick plug for Denise. AEW, NXT, one word. Who won, Alex?
AEW.
Holy shizzballs! Are we going unanimous for the first time? They sent you the edible arrangements, didn't they? They're great.
They
aren't
did.
They?
No, I am co-opted entirely just for this week, though.
Man.
Yeah, AEW.
I think AEW won too. I thought in a landslide, and I'm not saying that NXT was a bad show. I just think that AEW won, and I thought they won pretty handily. Warren, were you covering that one?
Yep. This
was a packed show, man. A lot of times, I think with a wrestling show, if I were formatting it, I'd treat it a little bit like a sandwich. You have something on the ends, and then you have something really substantial in the middle. It did that tonight, Warren.
Yep. I thought we had some good storytelling in the opening and ending segments of the show, but my God, the filling was great. There was really some great stuff, and we're going to get into it. Some stuff that I was not expecting to be good ended up being fantastic. I don't mind eating my hat in these circumstances. I like being wrong when I'm pleasantly surprised, and I was wrong on a couple of things tonight. Kudos to everyone involved. Let's talk about it, Sean.
What was your favorite thing that happened on this show, Warren?
My favorite thing that happened on the show, Britt Baker.
God, it was good, wasn't it?
Britt Baker is so good. Look, you don't want to be too disingenuous and say, well, she's probably asking her boyfriend for some tips at home.
Yeah, who cares?
But there's something clicking here. There is something that is just out of this world. The heel turn was so perfect. Ever since she started cutting her promos on the Jericho Cruise, they've just been getting sharper and better and just more compelling week after week. They're not just staying at the same level. They're improving. She was so fantastic tonight. Super disingenuous. Let's give it up for Tony. He's trying real hard and he's killing it. I'm like, God. She was fantastic. Like, the heel turn looks really, really good on her. Now, what I like, and I've talked about this before, what I like in her, as far as her in-ring work is going to go, she we've talked about how she still has some work to do as far as her in-ring goes, but as a heel, it can mask a lot of her weaknesses because she doesn't have to be as explosive and huge and big when it's time for the big babyface comeback. She can work in more grounded style, something a little more heelish, take more of her time. She's going to rock it as a heel.
Reminder, guys, donate a super chat, any amount if you're watching live at youtube.com/Fightful. We will answer or read your question on the air 100% of the time. We will get to them as the segments that you address them happen, because I don't want to talk about NXT stuff during AEW because some people like to avoid the spoilers. However, someone sent a super chat that said Alex should have taken them to see the Sonic movie. Oh, God. You get the smart-ass crowd here on Wednesdays, I see.
Yep.
And I kind of dig that. So
I know Michael Cole is definitely taking his wife to see and Todd Phillips. They're both taking their wives.
Tom Phillips.
Tom Phillips. They both
what?
suck.
I would love to have seen Todd Phillips direct the Sonic movie. That would have been very interesting. Sonic's getting really dark these days.
Yeah, really dark.
Here's my approach, man. Like, not to step too far away from wrestling. I'm pretty sure that Sonic the Hedgehog's on like meth or speed or something.
He's definitely got some kind of mental health issues.
Here's the thing. I think we're supposed to believe that Dr. Robotnik, who looks a little bit like you, Alex, is the bad guy. He's a doctor, probably trying to get Sonic off of whatever speedballs he's addicted to. Meanwhile, you got Tails up in Sonic's ear like, man, come on, man. I got you, man. I got you, man. An enabler. Yeah. And who does Sonic have to turn to? Not Miss Pac-Man or Mr. Pac-Man. They're running around on a fruit diet, swallowing pills all day. Mario? Is it going to be Mario jumping on mushrooms, hallucinating? All of a sudden he gets big? Meanwhile, Luigi's just running around trying to straighten his shit out. Video games, man, I don't appreciate them. Appreciate them. They've warped the youth. Well, we do have AEW to talk about. We do have some professional wrestling to get into, including a tag team title match. What'd you think about this? Kenny Omega and Hangman Page retain the tag titles over SCU. We see the integration of Dark Order. Christopher Daniels hits the bricks. What'd you think about this, Warren?
I thought it was a good piece of storytelling. I preferred Page and I preferred the 8-man from last week personally. I forget who Omega and Page faced 2 weeks ago. Well, was it Best Friends? I don't remember. But this was okay. It was fine. I thought it was a little slower pace than I expected. They built the match so that Adam Page would get another hot tag because that's what he does. That's what he does these days, and they're really good. The ending sort of had me questioning a little bit what was going on because Kazarian grabbed the bottom rope, but the referee still counted full 3. It was a little wonky. I think that was the planned finish because everyone, there wasn't any awkwardness. Everything just hit, but it was okay. I thought it was fine. I'm not saying it was a bad match. Solid, was good. Not quite as good as I thought it could have been. I liked how the Dark Order was integrated into this. I liked that Adam Page is now he's just leaving through the audience now. He's just like, nah, I'm not even going back. I'm not even trying to walk back with that Omega dude. He just goes into the audience. Could he be any more of a people's champion? They're doing it so well for Page. This is it's fantastic because we've talked about it before, but it deserves being underscored. This is prime time rehabilitation of a character that had slipped between their fingers. They had positioned him in a certain way, and it just didn't work out. So they're like, well, you know what? We're going to try something very, very different. We're gonna bank on Page's personality. They're going to let him be himself, just like they're doing with Drew McIntyre on Raw. And guess what?
Funny, man. He's so
funny.
And
guess what? It works.
He is so funny. If you all go back and listen to the audio of, I mean, I don't even know if we released it, of Jeremy Lambert's interview that he had with Hangman, he's just so funny. And Alex, I really want your thoughts on this since you primarily covered NXT, but it's something I reported on FightfulSelect.com. Subscribe today. Tony Khan's been taking the bull by the horns a little bit more and is credited heavily, based on the people that I talked to, with the Hangman Page storyline. And if that's the case, that's definitely one to be credited with, Alex. That is quite the turnaround.
Yeah, they're getting him to the place they need to be. I do wish they weren't leaning so heavily on the alcoholism crutch.
Yes. To
get him there. Like, there are other ways to get him there. He can be pissed at his friends for not being his friends without also, is he or is he not a destructive drunk?
That's the thing. I see him more as an I'm over this shit type of guy as opposed to fall down drunk. But like you said, there is a question mark.
There's a way of communicating that that isn't like, hey, anytime he's a little pissy, he chugs a beer, which is like, okay, I mean, it's easy to do. It's a little lazy. You can find other ways of doing it. It certainly communicates the point. And the thing I will say also is that the finish really weirded me out. The whole Kazarian grabbing the bottom rope after the 3 was a weird way of like, that's like the equivalent of the old Hulk Hogan got the shoulder up on 3.1.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is this a storyline? Because if it's a storyline, okay. If not, it like just looked weird. It was a weird thing to do.
I am okay with them doing that from time to time just because it varies things up a little bit. Because if everybody's flat back, whatever, I'm cool with matches ending at 4, 5, 6 minutes. Doesn't seem to be the case in AEW. You got jobbers wrestling Hikaru Shida for like 7.5 hours on Dark.
That was ridiculous. That was really ridiculous. And I even got into an argument with someone on Twitter about it. Is that Shida is supposed to be a star. She's supposed to be someone that you're building around. You have someone, and no disrespect to Cassandra Golden, but she just appears out of nowhere. Why is she having a 12-minute competitive match with one of your top stars? And this is one of the issues that AEW has, especially with its tag team division. It's like everyone has to be competitive, everyone has to look good, but there's no one who's dominant. How are you supposed to get behind then your stars if you don't know if the stars are people you want to get behind? How do you get behind stars? You get behind stars who win matches, who are victorious, who look good against opposition. It was a bad call for Dark.
Reminder, guys, donate a super chat any amount. We will read your question or statement on the air as it approaches that segment. Anakin says, Sean, the Sonic movie had good reviews. You never know. Oh, I'll watch it. I'm going to watch it eventually. Oh, yeah. I've got a backlog of movies to watch. Ryan W. says, here's my favorite trio on Fightful. I rather like this trio. I do. I thought that Alex and Warren would clash creatively because they talk trash about each other off the air all the time.
All the time.
Privately.
Really,
but, it was all right. Jim Ross interviewed Santana. I liked this segment. This was good. This is a hell of a use of Jim Ross as well, because Jim Ross has got a proven track record of getting people over this way, Warren.
This is the best use of Jim Ross, and AEW has proven it with the Cody interviews a few months ago, with that interview with Sean Spears. and Tully Blanchard. We all remember that one because it was really, really good. This is really the best use of it. And by God, if I wasn't rooting for Santana after this interview, my God, what a great story he told. It was amazing. And I was like, nah, screw Jon Moxley. I want this guy to win.
Dustin Rhodes defeats Sammy Guevara. I like this. After the match, he challenges Jake Hager, and I like that too. I'm going to be at Revolution, and I'm like, damn, I get to watch Dustin Rhodes wrestle a match at Revolution, and I'm excited about that because he was pretty good here. How about this? His last singles televised win was in July 2017. I think it was against R-Truth. He has no singles televised wins in AEW.
When they broke up the Golden Truth?
Yeah, that long-term planning in that one, huh? After, I remember when me and Vince Russo used to review Raw, and it felt like for 9 months we were doing like Golden Truth vignettes. Oh my gosh, but Sammy Guevara is so good. He's so good. I don't know that I expected him to be a breakout star early on. I thought he would be eventually, but he has adapted and adjusted, and anything he does, he seems to do it well. What did you think of this match, Warren?
I really liked it. I thought it was good. I mean, Dustin can still help and carry people along to great matches, and this is not a knock on Guevara, but you can tell who was the general in this match, and Sammy was probably very, very happy to just follow his lead. This was great stuff. I'm going to tell you, maybe not the way I would have booked the ending. This is a little nitpicky. It didn't necessarily take away anything because there was the post-match angle where Dustin called Hager out. But since, let's not forget, just before this, we had a vignette where Darby Allin is challenging Sammy Guevara to a match at Revolution. So I'm like, well, they sort of had the conundrum here. Do we have Sammy Guevara lose? Do we have Dustin lose? I was really expecting a screwball finish with Hager interfering, with Sammy maybe going over Dustin and Dustin getting real mad at Hager from this point on. I think we could have used a little reigniting of their dispute, because it has been quite a few weeks now since Dustin got his arm crushed with the car door. Commentary did talk about it. Would have been good to just have a little extra reason, a little fire for Dustin to pick up the microphone and challenge him. I feel like Sammy should have gone over here in a screwball way, which would have helped. Would have helped Sammy stay strong, facing a crowd favorite like Darby Allin moving forward. But I mean, like I said, this is kind of nitpicky because this was fun. This was a lot of fun. And when you think about it, Jake Hager versus Dustin, I mean, there's going to be a lot of crotch kicks in this match here.
So, I mean, I will spoil what happens later. In a matter of weeks, you'll have effectively probably the in-ring debuts in AEW of Wardlow, Swagger, or Jake Hager, Jeff Cobb, and Brody Lee. They're bringing the sirloin beef sons of bitches in, and it's, you know what? I'm okay with that because right now I'm seeing styles that are supposed to be different, but are a little bit too similar in that regard. They got a lot of athletes. You know what? I'm ready for Hercules Hernandez versus the Warlord. I'm okay with that, with significantly less steroids. I'm okay with that.
And our big guys are much more mobile than Hercules and Tony Atlas.
And way better at kicking people in the nutsack, too, which I appreciate. Our boy Throwback always doling it out. We appreciate him so much. He said, we're talking about Sonic and Frozen at the start. Should be an interesting night. Warren did some vampire jokes on Monday. Yeah, they sucked, Warren.
Oh, I see what you did there. Very good, very good. It's kind of, you kind of, I know you didn't like it. I know you thought they were a bit of a pain in the neck, but I tried not to go too far because I know you have a bat temper.
That one wasn't even good. That one's so dumb.
Oh, come on,
Warren.
Come on. It wasn't so bad. Maybe after. Don't worry, Sean. Soon, we'll head up over to your place. We'll go play some Bible golf, and then we'll go do some badminton as well.
It's awesome. Dr. Britt Baker is out next. I love this. Now, there were some people that were giving Britt Baker and Tony Schiavone some flack for posting photos together on social media. Piss off, mate. They're a good act. I'm digging this. Alex, how much of this promo did you get to see?
Oh, as soon as I realized that it was happening, I paused it, and then at the next commercial break for NXT, I went back and watched this whole thing.
Now,
and like, my God.
Before you break it down, I'm all for subjective entertainment. If there are still people that do not like this promo, they are impossibly subjective. They are biased completely. Britt Baker had fantastic delivery. She had fantastic dialogue. She had fantastic everything. The conviction. She gets more and more comfortable. And if this is how she is, third promo in, Alex,
yeah,
home run move. Move. Kenny Omega and Tony Khan were also instrumental in this turn.
I am so sick to death of the WWE stans coming out all over social media talking about how Corbin's actually the best heel. He's actually the heel. He's the one who gets the most heat.
Best heel in the business.
And then you have people who are like, well, actually watch MJF and what he's doing. And yes, MJF is great. However, Dr. Britt Baker is the best heel in wrestling right now. My God. She tore a woman's tooth out.
Fair.
And then the next week she said, I did her a favor by extracting that tooth for free. I didn't charge her. I'm a dentist. I could have charged her hundreds of dollars to pull that rotting tooth out of her mouth. But I did it for free because I'm such a good person. That's the best heel shit I've ever heard. That's amazing.
And she leans she leans into all the stuff that people are fed up about on social media.
Yes.
The fact that they always talk about she's a dentist, that she's the first woman that was signed to AEW. She leans into it. And you're right, Sean, the delivery, her conviction, she was all into it. But you know what she did on top of that? She played to the audience as well. And that she got some cordon bleu heat tonight for that. It was good promo work.
Let me tell you, this woman is such a good performer on the mic, and I've mentioned some of her shortcomings in the ring, and the fact that she didn't have a performance center. She didn't have an extended TV run on ROH or anything like that. So the fact that she is even where she is in the ring right now, and now where she is on the mic, that is good news for AEW, because quite honestly, their women's division has been shaky. They've made some questionable hires here and there, including a series in which Brandy Rhodes kind of explicitly destroyed on Wrestling Observer Live and said, I didn't like it, we broke it up, Nightmare Collective wouldn't work. I mean, now you got a bunch of people that you don't know what they're going to do on this show. Britt Baker isn't in that discussion. She is doing all right now. She's going to be all right. And up next we have Riho versus Nyla Rose. Now, I thought this was a really good performance by Nyla Rose, probably her best that I've seen. There were still some issues that I didn't like. Riho should not be hitting Northern Light suplexes on Nyla Rose.
Come on.
Jesus Christ.
That was the best thing ever, though.
Man.
It really was. I get it. But it was still an awesome visual. It was fun to see.
Because it's unbelievable. Now, here, I am the guy that will point out an MMA example of almost every single possible scenario that dipshits will say, unrealistic, little person beating a big person, unrealistic. All right, go watch Genki Sudo fight. Oh, well, the weight. Oh, a woman could never beat up a man. Well, women have beat up men in MMA fights before. Go watch crazy shit from Brazil. Happens all the time there. Brazil is nuts. But I can't pretend I've ever seen 98 pounds, if I'm correct. I'm pretty sure I am, because I've heard it 72 fucking times! Hitting a Northern Lights suplex on Nyla Rose, that one is where you lose me. That's where you lose me. Honestly, I would have had this one end at the Super Death Valley Driver, but I understand them not wanting to. But moving on from Riho, I feel, Warren, is the right move. I think Nyla Rose could even be a babyface, like a big, destructive babyface. But we'll see how it goes. What'd you think of this?
This is the match during our prologue of the evening. This is the match that
if you want your log to be pro.
No. This is the one that I was not looking forward to. This is the one that I kind of felt was unnecessary, and I wasn't looking forward to going back to it. I didn't think that the inaugural women's championship match between them both was that great, but I was surprised here this evening, and I was surprised by Nyla Rose, and I'm glad she did, because she has been extremely shaky moving forward. She, along with Britt Baker, I've said it from maybe not the start, but early on, that they are being booked in positions. AEW wants them to be in positions in the company that they are maybe not necessarily ready to be in. But they're changing stuff around, and Nyla's picked something up as far as tonight goes. And I don't know if it's just a question of chemistry with Rio or whatever, but she looked really good. Match wasn't perfect. There was a couple of rough stuff, but it was good. It was one of their best women's matches so far. Unquestionably, Nyla Rose's best AEW performance, without a shadow of a doubt. I was convinced of what was happening. The audience was as well. Everyone was behind it. The near falls, everyone was into it. And you see, this is the thing, Sean. 98-pound Rio doing Northern Light suplexes in the ring, and despite that, the people are up on their feet at the near falls. They're chanting for Rio, and ultimately, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful.com, that's what people want. That's ultimately all that matters, is if you're catering to your audience and people are popping and getting out of their seat, then you're telling a proper story. And that's all that matters.
I just want to say, people also waited on bridges to watch OJ's Bronco pass by. People were interested. Doesn't always mean it's a good thing.
What the hell is this?
A Northern Light suplex is the white Bronco of AEW. I said it, run with it on websites, do it.
I agree. Apples to apples. They're the exact same thing. I want to say that I had one of my favorite spots that I've seen in a while, which was Rio running off the apron, running across the table to hit the drop kick into the corner of the barricade. I thought that was really cool.
And she did it because she weighs 98 pounds.
Well, yeah. Otherwise, the table would have broken under her weight. I'm interested to see what a Nyla Rose championship reign is, because we've seen what a Rio championship reign is. It's her not being on TV and not defending the belt.
Brock Lesnar's been around more than Rio.
Damn, man.
Embarrassing.
I'm interested to see what a beast of a champion with others chasing her is going to be in AEW. I think that's interesting to me, because it's a different thing than what we've seen on. I mean, maybe that's the catalyst to get this women's division up and running for real.
Yeah. I'm going to group in the Chris Jericho interview towards the finishing segment, but Brandy Rhodes joined commentary, which I thought was a nice touch for the MJF Jungle Boy match. MJF is such a good heel, and Jungle Boy is such a good baby face, and he's such a good baby face from underneath. And I thought this was probably one of MJF's best in-ring performances. Right. Like when he's got him up in the backbreaker holds and the gory special and all that. I'm like, damn, that's such a good heel visual. MJF wins with the double cross. Wardlow attacks Jungle Boy until Luchasaurus makes the save. By the way, when they get Luchasaurus back 100%, just the sirloin beef, it's filet mignon at this point. Come on. Damn. I enjoyed MJF here. I enjoyed Jungle Boy here. I thought everybody played their role really well, Warren.
This was a real good match. I dug it. It was a lot of fun. I thought both guys really brought it. Like you said, MJF was particularly good, and without overdoing it. Because what I've started to appreciate, maybe it's him leaning into it. Maybe I wasn't paying attention before. I don't think I was, but I feel like he's leaning a lot more into a more classic heel style offense, being much more poised, taking his time, milking the crowd for reactions. And yet tonight he's in the ring with Jungle Boy. He's able to pull out some great offense, some fantastic stuff, but without overdoing it, without it becoming both guys just running around the ring and being super explosive. He's staying very close to his character, to being a heel. Heel is supposed to keep things a little slower, supposed to milk the crowd for reactions as he's doing crappy stuff to the babyface. So I really liked it. I think the story was fantastic. Now, I'm going to harp on it again this week because on Dark this week, Jungle Boy lost again. He loses again tonight. And your boy is going to have to start racking up some wins, some serious wins, and not count out matches against the champion. We're talking about victories, because and it still baffles me, excuse me, just how over Jurassic Express is, and AEW is not pushing them. It boggles my mind, because at some point they are not going to be bulletproof anymore. No one wants to cheer for a loser. And right now, as much as they're cool and great and good performers, Jurassic Express are all losers. So at some point that has to change.
I think everyone needs to put a bookmark in this match, this MJF and Jungle Boy match, and then come back and look at it in a year, 5 years,
sure,
10 years, to see where these two young men are and how their careers grow. And it's kind of amazing how young they are and how they have the potential to be, as you said, the top heel and the top babyface in this company in a few years' time. Because I agree with you, he's got to start winning eventually. But right now, I feel like Jungle Boy's story is, gosh, I really want to see that kid win something.
Yeah.
So that when he does, that's going to be a major point. But they can't keep postponing that eventual first big win indefinitely.
Because that's the thing, is that tonight, going into the match, there was no surprise. I wasn't like, ooh, maybe Jungle Boy has a chance.
Right.
That, yeah.
You know, there was no way. So again, just because an outcome is predictable doesn't mean that it's a bad match. But
the only thing they could have done is had Cody come to the ramp or something and get Jungle Boy a quick like roll up thing, because MJF is so concerned about Cody.
Yeah.
Like, you could have done that, but then again, is that really a victory?
Also,
not in my book.
Also, MJF's never been pinned or submitted on AEW ever.
There you go.
And I think he's special. You don't want to do that.
Right.
Also, I think there's a story to be told. Jungle Boy's 22, and Luchasaurus is the super over person of that group, and almost like the brother's keeper of that group. And there's a story to be told there. Like, is he ever going to get sick of this, or is he going to stay loyal? I think there's a lot there too. We see a Pac video package airing. He says he hasn't been the same since he got defeated in Chicago, and that Omega is scared of him.
Good.
I think Pac is a vampire. I really do. And hopefully, if he's a vampire at some point, I hope he just puts on a shirt, being outside all that much. Otherwise, he's going to catch frostbite.
Good. I hope he's a vampire. I want more vampires in wrestling. I got a Kevin Thorne interview in the can. And that's a shoot. I do.
Guys, this promo was so great. Pac is a huge star in the making. Like, AEW, if this guy does not have a lengthy title run at some point in the next year and a half, me and you are going to have words. This guy's amazing in the ring, and he got this crazy charisma as this unhinged villain. Like, there's so much you can do with this guy when he's like, Kenny, I know you're scared of me, and you fucking should be. Like, that guy's awesome. What? Like, he's mired in like the weird mid card of this. This guy's a huge star. A huge star. I'm watching him every week come out and do these crazy little video packages. There's so much to be done with this guy.
There are a lot of people that are talking about a quote-unquote secondary title and how they need it for, like, Sammy and all these people. And I'm like, no, they need it for like Cody and for like Pac.
Cody and Pac. That is a feud for their version of the IC title.
Yes.
You could make that thing last for 6 months. I'd watch every bit of it.
And like, I don't know what they could possibly call it, but I don't think they should regionalize it. I don't think they should TV title it. I don't think they should do anything like that. I think they should do something. And because here's the thing, Cody can't hold the world title.
But he can hold this thing.
Exactly. And because he can't hold the world title, you have it in your mind, well, would he be world champion otherwise? Because we know he's good enough to. I think there's so much there. But we're going to talk about the Jericho segment after this match. But Jon Moxley defeats Santana in an eye for an eye match. Santana took a gnarly paradigm shift on his head. Or as Jon Moxley says to me, it's a fucking DDT. But Warren, good stuff per usual. Jon Moxley, really good wrestler, as it turns out, in case anybody didn't realize that before a year ago. He's good. What'd you think?
Yes. I thought there was some kind of segue. Yes, absolutely. He was fantastic again tonight. Started off brawling. It was a fight. That's what it was. Santana had some great stuff in there as well. His rolling cutter was really good, and we saw an honest to goodness pile driver as well. Not a tombstone, not just a good old pile driver. That was fun. And then I like the ending where both guys are like completely blind. I'm like, this is a blindfold match now. This is what we're doing.
It became an eye for an eye for an eye for an eye match.
And the thing, Jon Moxley they have to find a way for the patch gimmick to work. Like, he's having issues with it. If you guys watched the Osaka pay-per-view from New Japan this weekend, it was the same thing. He completely lost it at some point. And then he wins the match at the end, and he's looking into the camera. He's like, oh, the camera's there. So he starts, that's right, my eye. I forgot.
I just love how pissed Vince must be that his pirate-themed WrestleMania is going to be overshadowed by a dude with an eye patch for the other company who used to work for him.
Damn. Well, earlier in the night, Chris Jericho had said that he's went searching for a bounty hunter for next week and says that is Mjf Cobb. Yeah, Ring of Honor's Mjf Cobb, who has advertised for WrestleMania weekend shows there and has said that he's working without a contract. So they run a video package, but after this match, the beatdown happens with the Inner Circle, and then Mjf Cobb makes his way out to the ring, and I got Taz vibes from him here. Like, serious Taz vibes, just a little bit faster. And to be honest with you, if he wants to be AEW's Taz, I think he can be. I think maybe if he slowed down a little bit, but he is one of those guys that even though you've got a lot of small people in AEW, he's still a little bit like shorter than them, but he can get underneath them and drop them on their heads, which seems to be fine in AEW. I see why they ran the video before, because even though we all know who Mjf Cobb is, you don't want a Dark Order Butcher and the Blade situation in that arena. You don't want people going, huh? What? Warren, what did you think of Matanza Cueto? Goddamn, Dario was with him walking out.
Oh my God.
Damn.
That's my headcanon, man.
Matanzo had good promos, though. He really was a good promo. Yeah. Basically, the two things I want to talk about have been co-opted by both of you guys.
Yep.
First of all, Sean Ross Sapp saying that this was the perfect way to introduce him. I agree, other than outside of having him show up and then people going like, who's this guy? Despite the fact that he has a little more renown than the Butcher and the Blade, and you wouldn't have Excalibur trying to put that over, it's still a good way to have done it and got us excited. And at the end, we're like, oh my God, he's here. And it was a fantastic entrance. And the second thing I want to talk about was co-opted by Pawlowski on Twitter, where he put out my thought. It was like, what's Jake Hager for? What's his use now in the Inner Circle? You have other than kneeing guys in the balls, you have Mjf Cobb. Cobb, who is a legitimate tank. And who is more mobile, more explosive. a little more fun to watch. And maybe he doesn't have the undefeated streak in MMA that Jake Hager has, but
he is a legitimate wrestler. Like he in amateur wrestling, he wrestled the guy who was about to get a UFC middleweight title shot. Well, he's gotten like 6 of them, but he was a very accomplished one. But it seems like he's actually leaned out a little bit too, and I think that's good. But I'm all for this. And here's the thing: I think if the Luther debut wouldn't have happened, I think Cobb would have debuted without a video package. But I think they were like 3 strikes, man. Dark Order, Butcher and the Blade, and Luther. Nobody knew who they were. But I don't know how they expected anybody to know who they were.
But that's the difference. That's the difference between that's the difference between bringing in Jeff Cobb there and Japanese legend, deathmatch legend Luther.
Yeah, he's worked Ring of Honor and PWG and Lucha Underground
New Japan. And New Japan.
Yeah,
like and the AEW crowd is smart to that. They're
even
hip
if
to
they
that.
Even if they just put up something on their version of the Titantron that said Jeff Cobb, and that was it, and he walked down to the ring, people would go ape, because he's one of those guys that if you're an AEW fan, you know Jeff Cobb from other things too. So like at that point, like Butcher and the Blade was like, I don't know who these guys are. Luther was like some weird guy came from under the ring. Like if it was like Jeff Cobb walking down the ramp, even if you're too far away to see who he is, if you got his name up on the Titantron, people are going to go nuts.
Yeah,
a couple of things I wanted to say. A, I need to have a Pentagon and Phoenix interaction with Jeff Cobb. Like, don't I know you from somewhere, and why am I really scared of you? And B, the whole Jake Hager thing. Like, they brought Jake Hager in to be the heavy, the guy who beats up people for Jericho. Because everybody else, like you got the crazy tag team, you got the Pretty Boy Guevara, but then you got this guy, the heavy, who beats up people at the behest of Chris Jericho. And so far, it's been months. He hasn't had a match yet. All he's done is stand around and wear polo shirts. And now you bring in Jeff Cobb, and the first thing he does is do his finishing move to Jon Moxley, who's basically AEW's kind of version of Stone Cold. Like, immediately, Jake Hager is redundant and irrelevant. He's gone. He's done. Somebody's like, well, now he can turn face. Can you?
Well,
Jake
maybe
Hager
Cobb
face?
can. Well, maybe Cobb can.
If that's the case, but fine. But it's a weird thing. Those two guys, they absolutely fulfill the exact same role in that.
Yeah.
It's like having 2 Scott Nortons in NWO.
It sounds pretty fucking awesome, man.
Actually, it's true. I would like that a lot.
I mean, they didn't put Ice Train in NWO, and it was a mistake. Fun fact, me and Nikita Krylov fan one time were set to go to a local show here in Flemingsburg where Ice Train was advertised in like 2005. They get there, it's a 150-pound white guy. It is not Ice Train. A few things before we wrap this up. Anakin JMT says, if Jeff Cobb is a legit tank, Sammy Guevara should have ridden him outside the Rumble. So he wouldn't have to steal Shotzi Blackhearts. That's fantastic. Also, Dario Cueto, I don't think we'll see him because as I look, he's got like 9 things, movies and shows in the pipeline right now. Yeah. Also, he just did a guest spot on Curb Your Enthusiasm, which was very cool to see.
I just want him to come out and scream ladder match. That's all I
need. Fair. But as far as the Jake Hager thing goes, we don't know what kind of deal Jeff Cobb has right now.
Right.
No, we don't know. But next week, we have an ROH wrestler taking on a New Japan champion in an AEW ring. That's pretty cool because I was told by somebody within Ring of Honor months ago that these companies are all a little bit friendlier than anybody would like to let on. But then when I asked some people higher up in Ring of Honor, they were like, well, I've never heard of that, but I'm open to it. So Jeff Cobb's working without a deal. If I'm AEW, I don't necessarily need Ring of Honor, but I would try to make something work with some other people. Obviously, they're friendly with MLW because Jimmy Havoc's still working dates there. It's about the only place he's working dates, it seems like. He hadn't been on AEW for like 2.5 years before last week. But, man, there's a lot of question marks around all this stuff. James O'Rourke said, Rob Oaken says, lost powers, so if this was covered, why announce Jeff Cobb? I would have let him in the show. Yeah, like I said, I think it was because of the Luther stuff and the Dark Order stuff and the Butcher and the Blade stuff. I knew Butcher and the Blade because I was at a Toronto week of indie shows where they worked a bunch, and I got to physically meet them. Like, that's why I knew them. Dark Order, I didn't have a damn clue who they were. Didn't know. And I've watched their stuff for a long time, but didn't have any clue why this cult was there. Luther, when they said his name, I said, oh, Jericho's friend's there. I didn't recognize him. So, I mean, and that's no disrespect to him.
No.
James O'Rourke said, just wanted to continue off my comments from Monday. I meant those in good fun. That was him saying that Throwback was putting everybody to shame. Throwback's a generous dude. And he says, thank you to him for your unbridled support. I'm looking forward to AEW next week. Cue the Blue Chew segment. We went like 10 minutes over on AEW. No Blue Chew segment tonight. I'll just plug Fightful Select again. Guys, we are like 24, 25 subs away from a major milestone. That would mean a whole lot to us. So if y'all don't mind, go subscribe to FightfulSelect.com. But we also have NXT. And here's the thing. To me, it didn't feel like a go-home show. It wasn't better than AEW Dynamite, but you know what? It was a good show. It was a real good wrestling show. It reminded me, Alex, a lot more of a 2-hour version of an NXT we would have seen a year ago than modern day.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there was a lot to really like about this episode. A lot. AEW had turned in one of their best, 2 hours of programming they have since their inception. So there's no shame in NXT falling short of that. But it was a go-home show, and the thing about NXT is they always do everything better than Raw or SmackDown. Like, the go-home shows for Raw and SmackDown are awful. They're awful. They just tread water. This at least had some interesting, like, reasons to tune in on Sunday. Like, the whole Ciampa thing we'll talk about, that was amazing. All this stuff that feels like they're not only setting up for Sunday, but they're setting up a lot of big stuff for next week's episode too. A lot of really good stuff in this episode. It felt like it had some urgency leading into the weekend instead of like, in case you missed this week, it doesn't matter. Just watch the pay-per-view.
Few super chats. Reminder, send a super chat any amount. We will read your statement or question on the air. Young Bibby says, who are your guys' favorite 3 NXT female talent? Mine are Toni Storm, Tegan Nox, and Bianca Belair. Personally, mine are Rhea Ripley, Io Shirai, and Bianca Belair. Warren?
Mercedes Martinez, Shotzi Blackheart, and Candice for me, because we stand Candice LeRae here at Warren Hayes HQ.
Alex?
Same guy asked me the same question on Twitter, I believe, and that's the same 3 you said, Sean. But my in order it would be Bianca, Rhea, and Io for me. But the ones that Warren mentioned are probably the next 3 that I would use, and I also have, in case I want to use it, Dakota Kai, Tegan Nox, all these like amazing women. Like, it's the deepest women's division in the history of WWE. It's so amazing.
Michael Morgan says weekly Bible golf super chat. I can't wait. I wish it was warm. I would be playing Bible golf with Ethan Page and Jordan Grace. I would be talking them into it. That would be a segment you see. Me hitting the 3 under par overall on 36 holes, just jobbing them out. Man. Anakin says, Warren's vampire jokes make up for his fetish for Cameron Grimes' hat.
Make up. But I thought we were all in agreement that the hat is really cool.
No. Johnny Gargano murdered the hat today, so it's fine. It's okay. Off of TV, he hit the people's elbow on the hat, and the hat is dead. So.
I don't know if he's a heel or not, though.
Throwback sent a super chat really, really early on. Another big one from him, as is tradition. Big thank you to him. He says, having Velveteen Dream tease strong with his wife and child on his gear was perfect to taunt him, but this match should be a takeover match, not an NXT show match. What do you guys think? I think for the period that we're in right now, I think an NXT TV match is okay, unless they want to try to stretch it out and really get the finality of all this Mania weekend, then I would understand that. But it's hard for me to believe they'll stretch this out 2 months. But considering there's already 6 matches on this TakeOver, and I think that's the way TakeOver will be from now on, now that it's its own thing, I'm okay with it being a TV match. Is it worthy of being one, Alex? I definitely think it is.
Oh, absolutely. And they have a Cruiserweight title match next week, which is its own. That's part of NXT now. That's a title that people fight for on NXT. So that's also next week. You could easily make this an 8-match TakeOver. And you would not have a drop off in the quality of matches presented on takeovers. It's not like when they decide to throw 12 matches on a WWE pay-per-view and you're like, what the hell am I watching this for? All of these matches have legitimate reasons, either grudges or for championships that could easily be put on Sunday, on their pay-per-view, on their takeover.
Yeah, Triple H said on the media call today that they thought long and hard about 5 versus 6 matches, and he didn't want to go beyond that because you start to get diminishing returns and all that. And he even said that they're going to do something special coming out of WrestleMania weekend. So I'm interested in what that will be. He said that he doesn't necessarily see NXT matches happening on WrestleMania because he doesn't want WrestleMania to last from 7 a.m. until the next morning. And I appreciate that. And quite honestly, you don't need to. You can fill up an arena and do your own thing. But Roderick Strong came out and he cut a promo on Velveteen Dream, demanded an apology, but Bronson Reed interrupted. Now, this was a lot of Undisputed Era answering, sort of paying for their sins of last week, and I liked that. At no point did I think that Bronson Reed was going to win this match, though. This was a foregone conclusion. That's a little bit unfortunate to me, is that almost every match tonight, except for one, was a foregone conclusion. But what did you think of this, Alex?
Well, I honestly thought especially when they actually went through with the Velveteen Dream lights and stuff, I thought perhaps Bronson Reed was going to pick up the win because it would have given him a big boost, and Roderick Strong wouldn't have been hurt by losing to Bronson Reed, especially mired in this Velveteen Dream thing. I like Bronson Reed a lot, but I'm of the opinion this match should have lasted no longer than 4 minutes. Come out, blitz Roddy with everything you got, go up to the top rope, try and go for something, get caught with a knee under the jaw, 1, 2, 3. Like the fact that you had Bronson Reed, giant babyface monster, putting Roddy in a bear hug for like half of the match. It just didn't feel like that was the match this was. It was to show that Roddy bit off more than he could chew, decided to throw a knee at the big boy, and the big boy's pissed at him. But Roddy's gotten bigger fish to fry. Also, Bobby Fish.
Meh.
Yeah. But because that's the thing, is that I do like all of this, but it's a weird dynamic. What we've been told is if you mess with a man's family, that's the worst thing you can do in wrestling. So are we supposed to root for Roddy Strong now? Because that's a weird deal. I don't know if I definitely need to root for Velveteen Dream coming back after injury, but he's going to some dark places. Like, if I accidentally kill you in the ring, it's okay. Your wife will have me to have sex with her. Is a weird thing for the babyface to say.
Yikes.
I'm just sorry. Like, it's a little weird.
Yikes.
Yeah.
So Velveteen Dream, they played that up a little bit more, but throughout the night we get these Broserweight packages, these video packages.
Oh God, they were so good.
They were.
So good.
It does make me wonder, why aren't they using Malcolm Bivens? This seems like right up his alley. Like, I would have loved to have seen him even make a cameo here for the people in the know, but I've got some more info on these video packages and kind of some pitches that were made backstage in NXT, but it's a story I'm working on. Alex, how'd you feel about these?
I loved them. These guys are a perfect odd couple. They're so great together. I also just love that Matt Riddle, because it's Matt Riddle, is like, hey, I realize we can't check our giant trophy. We've got to bring it to Portland. So let's drive. And I quickly Googled that. That's a 45-hour drive from Orlando to Portland, Oregon. That's 3,033 miles. And I just love that he was like, let's drive. And Pete Dunne's like, yeah, all right. And then he gets in the car and drives on the wrong side of the road. There's a let me do the talking. Never let Matt Riddle do the talking to a cop.
Yeah.
That's a bad idea. All of this stuff. When they were in the giant swan boat, and this is just where I like to do my thinking, bro.
I would have loved if Riddle was like, "Listen, man, you got to hold this for me," and then Dunne got arrested.
I like all of that, and the fact that we got a private plane. Let's put this giant trophy in the boot. Please stop saying it like that. No, we got to put it in the boot. Like, it's just so good. It's so good. And the fact that they stowed away in the luggage compartment of Triple H's private plane.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I need more of this. Give me a whole WWE Network series of just these guys getting into hijinks on the road. It would be so great.
We got to see a ride along with these two. We got to see an episode of Ride Along with them. But they're actually trying, and I appreciate that. Lee Lewis says, what will be the best match on TakeOver and Revolution? I think TakeOver, based on the direction right now, maybe Sammy and Darby Allin. On NXT TakeOver, let me see. I think Undisputed Era and Broserweights or Lee and Dijakovic will probably have that match. What do you think, Warren?
I'm definitely throwing my money into the tag team match. Fish and O'Reilly are just fantastic every time. I think Riddle and Dunne are just going to give all of it. And as far as Revolution goes, I'll do Guevara and Allen as well.
Alex?
I think provided, obviously, that Cody defeats Wardlow next week. I think the Cody MJF match has a lot of potential being like some really great old school shit. Which would be a lot of fun because, like, I think everyone, it's kind of a agreed upon opinion that the Dustin versus Cody match was one of the best things AEW's ever done, and that just felt like it was just so old school. I see more of that happening with Cody and MJF, and the tag match for my money is going to be really hard to beat. But you know who could? Keith Lee and Dijak. They really could. They really could beat that.
Dakota Kai pins Candice LeRae. Candice, I thought, had an exceptional performance. I think sometimes during her NXT run, there have been some spotty performances, so to speak. I think probably because Warren likes her, she just it's like a curse on her. But I think that both of them worked pretty well based on what I saw. Alex, what did you think?
This was great. This is Candice looks great, and she's gonna need to be taken seriously at some point and have a nice long, like, real serious run, as opposed to the baby face who looks great in defeat. At least she's no longer Mrs. Gargano, and that's her entire character. At least they've moved on from that. But I did think she looked great in this. She got her nose broke. That really added to the viciousness of the match. It was a totally different thing when never let Candice LeRae taste her own blood or she's gonna go crazy. I think that's a really cool thing that they have set up for her, as well as there was this great high angle belly to back suplex that involved Dakota Kai's arms being twisted in front of her. That was an amazing move. I thought that was all really great, and I loved the Dakota Kai didn't win via cheating. She won via being clever. Yeah. And she was in the Gargano escape and reversed it into a pinfall. She didn't cheat. She won that match. And Candice is legitimately pissed. And also, so is Tegan Nox.
Yeah, Tegan Nox makes the save before Kai hit her with the ring bell.
Right. To Tegan Nox making the save here would be so much more impactful if we hadn't already seen Tegan Nox wrestle Dakota Kai and pick up a victory over her. Mm-hmm. Now, this whole thing I would be so much more amped for Dakota Kai versus Tegan Nox street fight on Sunday if we hadn't already seen Tegan Nox win via hitting Dakota Kai with a weapon. We've already seen what the presumed finish is going to be on Sunday already, so it's a weird thing.
Warren, anything to add to this?
The start stop stuff with Candice, and this is outside the fact that I'm a sincere fan, is a little weird because she did have her great matches with Io Shirai, their great feud last year, and they started off the USA era on NXT, and I felt that there was momentum going into it. And now they're sort of scaling it back a bit, but she still was in War Games. And
how many times can they do the babyface has been beaten so many times, then they finally get their edge, or they finally get a... They've done that. I feel like they've done that since the beginning of NXT in this iteration. Back to the Horsewomen days, we saw that. And it's like, man, you got to switch that up a little bit.
At some point, we just mentioned it, or Alex just mentioned it, at least she's not Mrs. Johnny Gargano anymore. Maybe this path feels a little familiar, though. She's not losing as much as Johnny Gargano did when DIY broke up, though. But still feeling a little familiar.
Throwback with another big super chat. The man says, with Finn and Charlotte in NXT at the moment, is it possible we could see Cross versus Finn at the Takeover before Mania? And for Charlotte, if she stays, could she continue feuding with Rhea and possibly Bianca? Well, here's the thing. I don't think Charlotte will hang around in NXT. I think she'll probably lose to Rhea. She should. And then head back to Raw. Cross and Finn Balor. Boy, you want to talk about an intro feud for Killer Cross. I would not mind seeing Killer Cross definitively beat Finn Balor and kind of send Balor packing to wherever else he's going to go, because I don't think Finn Balor will be in Florida forever. Warren, what do you think about those options?
Very interesting stuff. The first question, of course, is what are they going to do with Charlotte? If Charlotte hangs around, is she going to wrestle at the WrestleMania Takeover? Is she going to wrestle on that card? Because if she does, of course she has to lose, right? And as far as Killer Cross and Finn Balor, are you kidding me? That'd be great. And if it is a bit of a swan song for Finn leaving NXT, I hope he leaves with the edge. I hope he leaves as the Prince and heads back to Raw or SmackDown, wherever he ends up, not smiling, collar-popping Finn Balor, which we all liked, but we kind of like this Finn a little better.
Yeah. Alex, any thoughts on that?
I hope Finn sticks around. This is the most life I've seen in Finn Balor since he got called up. And he had that amazing thing where he lost the title because of the injury, and then ever since he came back from it, was like, gosh, I really hope someday I get another title shot. Wouldn't that be neat? Yeah. Like, he's never had any edge to him at all. And like back in NXT, it's like, man, this is the Finn I wanted to see from the very beginning. So I kind of hope that if he goes back up or over to either Raw or SmackDown, he keeps that. But for all we know, he might debut as like the creature from the Black Lagoon or something.
Johnny Gargano defeated Cameron Grimes. This match was never in doubt. They did set this up with a digital thing this past weekend, but Johnny won. Anything on this, Alex?
Cameron Grimes is absolutely that guy who you used to say, who knows if he could actually pull this one out. Not this one particularly, not Johnny Gargano losing to Cameron Grimes before he faces Finn Balor. But he's already surprised with some victories that I didn't think he was going to get, and I think he's a perfect match for Finn Balor because he's a really deceptively strong dude. Yeah. So him being able to chuck Johnny Gargano all over the place, that's great. I love that a bunch of their maneuvers can easily be countered into the other guy's maneuvers, which is my immediate seal of approval for a long feud. So who knows what happens after Takeover here with Gargano, but I could easily see Gargano making a guy like Cameron Grimes because of the cachet Johnny Gargano has. If Gargano says, you know what, I'm going to lose to you a couple of times and make this guy a big thing, that could be a really big deal for NXT and for Cameron Grimes.
Yeah, a lot of people might not know this about Cameron Grimes. The guy, if I have no doubts that if they told him, hey, you need to work an hour-long match tomorrow, he could do it without a doubt. Yep. And he's done that before in CWF Mid-Atlantic. Any thoughts on this one quickly, Warren?
I think Johnny Gargano's a heel now.
Yeah, okay. Bianca Belair defeated Santana Garrett via pinfall. This was a squash, moonsault, KOD. And afterwards, Rhea Ripley came out, and Rhea gets eaten or hit with the KOD as well. This was really letting you know, hey, Bianca can do this move to people.
Yes, that's true. And I loved seeing Rhea Ripley take that finisher because she's been booked as pretty much invincible. So it's nice to see like, hey, that's what that would look like, because we're not going to see that probably Sunday. But I also love the little detail of Rhea throws the first punch at Bianca, and Bianca goes down to one knee, and then Rhea takes off her vest. But as she's taking off her vest, Bianca stands up and throws a punch at Rhea, knocks her off balance, and is able to hit the finisher on her. Little details of that in a fight are really interesting because, like, Rhea couldn't block the punch because she's got both of her arms in her vest taking it off. Why she's taking her vest off, I'm not really sure, but at least that's actually a reason why she lost this little kerfuffle before their match on Sunday. I think this match is going to be awesome, but there's no way Bianca's winning it.
I would agree with that. We had Angel Garza versus Lio Rush, Cruiserweight Championship top contender match. Lio Rush wins. We got to hear him talk a little bit. Now, it's been reported that Angel Garza's call-up isn't necessarily a full call-up, and he'll keep working NXT. Wouldn't mind if it was. NXT Raw needs him. More importantly, Humberto needs him, and needs him like by his side, not feuding with him. They need to do something there. But after this match, Jordan Devlin came out and had an exchange with Leo before leaving. What? Any thoughts on this one, Alex? I mean, it was the typical banger that you get out of these two.
Yeah, these guys work really, really well together, and I believe that the right guy won. I want to see Lio Rush versus Jordan Devlin. Mm-hmm. I think that's going to be a really great match. But I mean, I think that Angel Garza might not be a permanent call up or call over. But the end of this match kind of lead me to believe that he might be, especially because they had him protected by losing to a roll up. Like he's the right guy to move up to Raw and do some stuff. And I agree with you. If they found a way to pair him with Humberto, can you imagine the kind of crazy lucha shit they could get up to versus like AOP or Viking Raiders? Like there'd be some that would immediately boost the tag division and the mid card of Raw seriously. But I thought this was really great. Angel wasted no time. He made sure the pants came off immediately so they wouldn't screw that up in the middle of the match. But yeah, this was good too. Also, it prevented them from people from like cheering it. Like he's working heel now, definitely. So by doing the pants thing right at the beginning, get it out of the way, nobody's gonna be like, oh, I wonder when he's gonna take his pants off. Like that's not a thing people can do now.
Robert Stone backstage with Chelsea Green. They have a little bit of a promo. That's good to get them on the screen. Sure. We also see a Keith Lee video package narrated by Mark Henry. I didn't get to see this. Anything on that one, Alex?
So what was the video package you said?
It just said, I'm reading the recap. I obviously had my eye on two different things. So
right, no, I missed what you said. That's all.
It said that there was a video package for the North American champion, Keith Lee.
Yes, it was interesting. Warren, you tweeted this like, do we really need a hard sell on this match? Like maybe we do for people who like didn't watch before. Like I feel like this is the thing you do if you're going to promote this on SmackDown.
There you go.
Like you promote this. You say this is why you should tune in and watch Takeover. Presumably you have the network because we're promoting the hell out of this Sands of Time shit we're doing in a couple of weeks. So you have the network, tune in and watch this because this is why you should. This is something that, like, if Mark Henry comes on and talks to a bunch of casuals who are watching SmackDown and says, these guys on NXT on Wednesdays are legit and you should be watching them, that holds a lot more weight for that audience than it does for people who watch NXT who already know that Keith Lee and Dijak are legit. But I thought it was kind of funny how Mark Henry was like, big guys, huh? Isn't that weird? Like, very large men. They've always been viewed as being giants and stuff. Isn't that weird? Like, it was kind of a thing they were showing, like, on the other show on Wednesdays, they don't have this. And that happened to be the night where Jeff Cobb debuts, and we're hearing that, like, Brody Lee is coming, maybe Cage is coming, all this stuff. So maybe they don't have that advantage anymore.
Chris Ferris sends a super chat and says, Alex said pants off, but no Blue Chew spot? Hey, we're already over an hour, 10 minutes here. I like to get my shows done in an hour. Too long. We've got plenty of other shows for that. Main event segment, Adam Cole defeated Kushida in a great match. Jesus, great match. I mean, this was another one where you kind of pay for the sins. Warren, what do you think about that? Them setting up a couple matches tonight. They sandwiched this show between two matches that, again, foregone conclusions, but you also give Bronson Reed and Kushida a little bit of an opportunity to regain some face after getting beaten down last week.
Yeah.
Well,
go ahead.
That's just real quick. That's the thing, we talked about it, and we say it often. Sometimes, it's not because it's predictable that it's boring. It's like the Titanic. The Titanic always sinks. We know that, but it's how you get to the sinking that's interesting. It's the stories you can tell with that. So yeah, I mean, to me, it's okay. It's okay and it's good. Doesn't always have to be a shock or a surprise, especially when you get good matches like Cole and Kushida as well.
Alex, your thoughts on this one quickly as we wrap this one up.
I thought this match was great. I'm looking forward to Kushida getting some real time to be used properly. Maybe he gets his tag partner back full time eventually, and they can have a time splitters real run at the titles, or maybe he actually gets positioned at the top of NXT soon because he's so special. This match was excellent. I loved that the finish, the last shot, came after Kushida kicked out but was still groggy. Like, that's really cool that it was like, okay, that thing didn't put you down, but this is gonna. I like that about Adam Cole, that viciousness. Wrapped up in all of this is later we had Tommaso Ciampa come out after Adam Cole won. But that backstage Tommaso Ciampa promo thing, he was talking about how, like, I got nothing to lose. This is all I have is like that. The ferocity in that promo. Tommaso Ciampa's on another level, man. He's just so great. And I love that he says, I'm staying in NXT. Don't get any ideas, anybody. This is where I am, because NXT would be lost without this guy.
Quick predictions for NXT TakeOver Portland. Alex and Mr. Warren Hayes will be on the post-show review. I will be on the Triple H post-show media conference call, both streaming live right after NXT TakeOver Portland. Reminder, I am on ESPN 1530 this Sunday on No Holds Barred to preview this event. But again, quick predictions. Finn Balor, Johnny Gargano. I've got to go Finn Balor here. Warren?
Yeah, I think that's what they're going to do.
Alex?
Finn.
Tegan Nox, Dakota Kai. At this point, a street fight, I got to go with Dakota Kai. Otherwise, she just looks like trash in this feud. Warren?
Absolutely. I don't think there's any use in 50. Well, they're ultimately going to 50-50 it, but there's place for a rubber match. That's what I'm trying to say. So yeah, let's give it to Dakota.
I mean, this does feel like the stipulation for a feud ender, and I do feel like Tegan Nox is the rightful winner of the feud. If they're going to continue it, then yes, absolutely, Dakota Kai needs to win this. If it's over, then it's Tegan Nox, and she gets pushed on to major and bigger things after this.
Keith Lee defends the NXT North American Championship against Dijak. Alex, I think I'm leaning Lee here because he's super over right now, but if they took the title off him and immediately launched him into the NXT Championship picture. That wouldn't surprise me a bit.
No, I mean if that's what they're going to do, or if there's somebody says, we're moving this guy over to Mondays or Fridays to be a major player there, that wouldn't surprise me. He's got a lot of people talking about him. But
excited to see him be the 300-pound Ricochet of SmackDown.
Yeah. If he's the top guy right now as far as being over and everything, I can't see him losing this belt unless they have major plans for him elsewhere.
Warren.
Too soon for him to drop. It's going to be a fantastic match. The winners are the fans.
NXT Tag Team Champions, Undisputed Era against the Broserweights, Matt Riddle and Pete Dunne. I'm finding it hard to believe they would put this much stock into Riddle and Dunne without big plans, whether it be the titles or an immediate feud that emerges from this. And I don't know that Matt Riddle could be a heel coming out of this. It would have to be Dunne if they did that. But I'm going with the Broserweights, Alex.
Broserweights, absolutely, and have them keep the belts for a long while. This odd couple comedy stuff they're doing is so good. Don't end it by having Pete Dunne break Matt Riddle's toes or something. I just come on. Let's ride this amazing comedy into the future.
Warren.
Yeah, Broserweights, I think is the good way to go here, because I think at the same time there's a good story to say with Undisputed Era dropping their titles as well. Losing the North American title, using the tag titles. Won't spoil what I'm thinking about the main event, but I think there's a lot of good to come out of this. Broserweights.
Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair. I usually pick a winner or a loser. I think this goes to a non-finish. I think Charlotte does something, and if you do this middle of the card or co-main event, you have room to do that, because quite frankly, NXT is a little bit of a different vibe. If you have one of the biggest women's stars in history causing a non-finish, you can get away with a little bit more. Warren, what do you think?
I concur. I actually think I think she's going to get. My long shot prediction is she gets involved, and Bianca actually wins the title off of Rhea. And then we get a nice little triple threat set up for WrestleMania weekend. But that's my long shot. Otherwise, yeah, I think we get a non-finish, which would be unique in an NXT setting.
Alexander.
The most boring and disappointing version of this is that everything that we're all hoping for in getting a triple threat at Mania involving Bianca Belair is just never going to happen, because they always wanted to do Rhea versus Charlotte anyway, and that's all they're going to do. And positioning all of this hype before Bianca Belair was not a red herring. It really was them saying Bianca's great, but she's not that great. I want to believe they're not going to do that, but it would not surprise me at all to have Rhea win clean and then Charlotte come out and say, all right, I accept your challenge, and then that's it, and Bianca just fades back into the morass of all the women who are not quite at the top.
Pretty funny, because last year we were like, no, we don't need Charlotte in this triple threat. She isn't needed. We don't need it. Now this year we're like, yeah, let's do this triple threat with Charlotte, because it is the right thing to do. And my fear is that they'll remember last year when everybody didn't really want one, and they'll be like, well, people probably don't want one this year. When realistically, I'm like, hell yeah, Charlotte, Bianca, and Rhea, I think that'd be perfect. Also, it'd hide a few of the deficiencies from a couple of the less experienced wrestlers, and have a veteran like Charlotte, which is weird to think Charlotte's a veteran at this point, but hey, she's a veteran of main eventing WrestleMania. Yeah. NXT Championship, Adam Cole, Tommaso Ciampa. I think Ciampa wins, and I think Undisputed Era don't have any titles. Alex, what do you got?
Oh yeah, Ciampa's winning this thing. That's a major prediction from me, and I feel like Ciampa immediately, now that he's got Goldie back, can go back to being the old Ciampa who just murders everybody.
Yeah,
because we don't have to root for him anymore.
He needs to joyfully do it. He needs to lovingly do it. He's just running around destroying people with a smile on his face.
Absolutely.
He's just elated to have this. and they're on this friggin' Bonnie and Clyde tour backstage at NXT destroying shit. I would love that. Warren, what do you think?
I concur with everything. Ciampa's winning. Undisputed Era loses it all.
Well, if you want to lose it all, Warren does live streams all the time at youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes. Warren, plug your stuff.
YouTube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes. Every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, I do a recap of the week. And, I try to talk about stuff like Shayna Baszler. That's probably what I'm going to talk about tomorrow. Shayna Baszler. Is she a vampire? Is she not? If she's a vampire and she gets a cold, does she go Nosferatu? We're going to talk about that tomorrow.
I'm just saying, I did find photos of when Jessamine Duke was an MMA fighter and her mouth guard had fangs. I'm just saying. Alex, if you don't want to plug anything, that's okay, because I know that you probably just want to get the hell off this Skype call.
Follow me on the Twitter at Alex Sourgraps. Watch on the Fightful Select me make this face about things they do on Raw and SmackDown.
Till next time, guys, Fightful.com. Check out today's list and your boy, one of our best episodes yet. We're out.